There was another time when I was sitting in a coffee shop on Hawthorne Boulevard in Portland, and it was in the evening, so it was getting darker, and the baristas behind the counter and I were noticing that there was this guy in kind of this in front of this doorway was visible from the coffee shop, and he was kind of like antagonizing people as they walked by. So we were kind of keeping an eye on it and, going about our business, doing what we were ever doing. And at one point, he actually lunged at a younger girl. She looked like maybe she was 15 to 16. And from what we heard and what we saw, he kind of went, "Arr!" We're like, okay, this guy is clearly out of control. I, looked at the people behind the counter. I'm like, "Are you calling the police?" They said, "Okay." I went outside and started talking to the guy. He was going on a lot about food. And this is a theme that I have seen happen before. When people are really hungry, and I can only imagine maybe this guy hasn't eaten for a couple of days. They're already stressed. Maybe they don't have obviously the greatest emotional regulation skills to begin with. And they're on the street, and now they're super hungry, so now they're kind of going nuts. And they really don't have anything to lose at this point. I talked to him for about 5 minutes. He keeps bringing up the issue of food. I say to him, there's a pizza place, 3 stores down. I didn't want to leave him because I was kind of, managing him. I said, "Look, if you promise not to lurch out at anyone, I'm going to go get you some food." So I ran to the pizza place, got him the pizza, brought it back to him. I talked to him for about another 40 minutes, and certainly after he had the food, he was able to calm down. And my further talking to him, it was, just kind of not nonsensical like, conversation, but very superficial stuff. But I was just looking to keep him in check until the police came. They did come at one point after about, I think it was like 50 minutes, which is very typical. Unless a person is a danger or a threat, I think people are very apt to kind of, it's not a priority for them, and I get it. But anyway, they came, they talked to me for a little bit. They're like, "Do you want to press charges?" And I had no claim. He hadn't done anything to me. I'd seen him do something to someone else. So at that point, I couldn't, give them cause to arrest him. And maybe that was, for the better. Who's to say? Anyway, at that point, I went back inside. They spoke to him another 5 minutes. He gathered his stuff and wound up moving, I noticed later on just, 4 or 5 doorways down. But, it was really interesting just to see how here's a person who was clearly hungry and was losing control because they needed food. And merely getting them something to eat was able to, help them diffuse a situation which maybe would have gotten out of control had they not gotten access to food.